Hi, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are here with Megan Holly, and we are going to be talking about the art of confidence and how to apply this in your life. So, Megan, why don't you introduce yourself and then also tell us like how you keep what do you do to keep healthy or move? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. I am Megan Holly. I am a branding photographer and confidence coach who I work with creative entrepreneurs and people who just want to up-level themselves, not only in their business, but also in their life to just kind of live their best self, make more impact, and all of that good stuff. So I do that through branding photography. I do that through some coaching, and I also get on stages and do workshops and things like that as well for some speaking and impactful empowerment as well. So on a personal note, I live with my husband and I have two dogs, and I'm all about decor and DIY and all the fun things, which will totally come into our conversation about confidence and like enjoying that side of of you. What do I do to stay healthy? So for me, it I would be lying if I would say that I've always been, in the pocket of treating my body, my mind, and my spirit the best that I should be. But that's not the truth, right? Because that's just, the human journey, right, is up and down. But at this
Mhm.
stage in my life, the thing that I do the most to stay healthy is to be mindful about getting movement in my day, whether it's like a dance party in my living room, literally with some songs on, or something a little bit more, structured like a class or a video in my living room. That though, just movement in general for me is very important. So that is a huge thing. I feel the energy draining from me if I don't keep myself moving. And I'm talking to the queen of movement over here. So you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I've been in seasons where I don't do it as much and I feel it. There's so much that just is missing in my life when I'm not. So yeah, that'd be the biggest thing right now, especially in this season right now for me that I do to stay healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's great that you are paying attention to the movement every day, and especially it's easier. Everybody, it's summertime. It's easier to get out there and do the things because if it were cold and it were the fall or the winter, we'd be like, oh, there's snow out. Oh, there is ice. But she does dance parties, and I am all about the dance parties in the house,
Yeah.
putting that jam on, whatever it is, whatever you're in the mood for, and just grooving.
Yes. Well, not only that, but it makes cleaning fun, more fun. It makes doing the dishes more fun. I think sometimes we get stuck in our ways of just like having to check off the things off our list that we just kind of grunt through it and just do it. But for me, it's an easy way to get a little bit of like my heart up, my heart rate moving and, blood flowing by just putting on some music. There's no excuse. Everybody loves some sort of music, whether it's, what I don't care what genre you like. There's enough
Hmm.
to go around that it can get you moving. So yeah.
It does. It does. But I hear you're just saying like movement, and I was like, well, if it were like, I don't know, church music or something like that, I don't think I'd be moving. I think I'd be like,
Right.
mm, you know,
Which could be like equally as good for your health. Maybe you
yeah,
need
for
that,
your
right? Maybe you need
soul,
to disconnect.
peace.
Or this morning I actually had frequency music on when I was getting ready because there's no words, there's not even really a beat
Mhm.
to it. It's just kind of, it's frequency. And it was what I needed in this morning because I, for whatever reason, just input was feeling overwhelming to me. So
Mhm.
there's so many different ways of, letting your
Oh,
brain
you're
in.
right though. Yeah, the frequency music is fantastic. It's like, okay, what do I need? And I mean, I use it a lot. I use the the focus frequency, the binaural beats. That is a go-to for me.
Yes.
Okay, but we are talking about the art of confidence today. And Megan, why don't you talk a little bit like why is it important to feel confident within yourself, within your body?
Yeah. Well, that's such a beautiful but also broad question. And I think one thing
Mhm.
that came to my mind when I was kind of thinking about, today and getting the chance for us to kind of just talk and kind of open up this topic. And we hear it all the time, be confident. There's all these quotes and there's these things that out there that are helping us to be our best selves, but sometimes it's almost overwhelming because we're like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. But what if I don't feel that way, you know? And the thing is, if you think about it, we were all born, in my opinion, with a similar, if not same level of confidence, right? We were just kind of newbies in the world. We didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what self-esteem was. We didn't know that this made me feel away, that we didn't know that this made me sad. We knew none of that. And as kids, we are always getting confidence boosts because we take our first steps. People are cheering, woo, and you're excited and all these things. And so we just innately have these things. But then something starts happening as we get a little bit older where there's so many other caveats in life. We start doing sports or music or art and all these things. And now we're comparing ourselves, and now we're getting input from others. Oh, I don't know if I like that so much, or your batting average is not as strong as your brother's was, and like all these things start kind of compounding on us. So that kind of like leveling or level playing field, I should say, starts to just go haywire on all of us. And so our confidence just starts shifting and changing. And then we get back to being an adult where we have a more of our own voice again. And we are like shocked because a lot of times we've lost confidence in some area of our life, hopefully not all
Mm-hmm.
areas, but whether it's in motherhood, whether it's in the strength that you have within your body, whether it's in your career, we all have places and spaces, sometimes juggling multiple, where we're not feeling our best selves. And we're like going, okay, what? Like, so why is it important to tap into it? In my opinion, is that it changes everything. It changes our relationship with ourselves. It changes relationships with others. It changes the way we go into the world, like literally just driving down the street. Have you ever had like that awful day where you're feeling less than confident in X, Y, and Z, and just everything and everybody makes you a little bit more annoyed, you know? But really, it's like intrinsically some stuff that's going on within you. So for me, I found in the last handful of years that really doing some deeper work into my confidence for myself, but then also people in my community, has changed just how I operate, period. Just literally. And there's some things, and we can talk about, whatever direction we want to go, but things that I do to help make sure that I'm keeping that at a higher level. It's not ever going to be perfection because human, right? It's just,
Yeah.
it's going to ebb and flow, but there's a way to take it back into your I don't like the word control, but into your kind of universe and space to be able to make it more malleable for you, at the end of the day. And I think we all deserve that. I think every single human being deserves to feel their highest self as much as possible. You know, um, we have to see and feel our lower version of ourselves sometimes to see if we need to pivot in something in our life, if we have to have a different conversation with something. But more than not, the highest version of ourselves is where we want to keep moving and migrating to when we can. So yeah, I think that to me, that's why it's important, because it literally can shape shift and trickle out its olive branches into every aspect of your life, even things that you would never think are affecting you. Like it's kind of quiet, the quiet effects that happen.
You're right. And yeah, it is, it's definitely, you have a certain vibration or a certain confidence regarding certain things, but we don't necessarily have that about everything in our life. But we shouldn't feel, I guess, deterred by the other things that we are not so great at, right? Because
Right.
we probably have several things that we are pretty good at, that we
Well,
could be confident within ourselves in.
absolutely. And with that being said, not only that, but so many times there's that statement that says, misery loves company. So it's much easier to start seeing all the negative things or the places where we see deficits in ourselves, which then kind of just chips away at our confidence versus seeing the few good things that we really enjoy about ourselves. It's just so much harder to like go in that space when you are struggling with something else that feels
Mm-hmm.
hard at the moment. Two, we live or have lived, I think it's changing currently. We have lived in a society who's like, oh, please don't celebrate yourself. Are you kidding me? Don't be talking about
Mm-hmm.
kids over here. For a long time, society was like, oh, that's boastful and that's whatever. If you are just happy with something that's happening in your life, it was just kind of like, obviously there's a line of being like, blatantly like shoving something in somebody's face, but the line's pretty large. And I would say
Mm-hmm.
more than not, we need to be helping each other and ourselves
Mm-hmm.
celebrate those things, because yes. And the other thing is, it's a muscle, in my opinion, right? It's a muscle, and you're not always confident until you continue building up the confidence muscle in whatever it is. There's all these different
Mm-hmm.
confidence muscles. I used to be a painfully shy, and I'm still shy, but I'm talking painfully shy person my whole entire life, my existence. Like, teachers would call my mom and be like, I'm worried about her. She doesn't even open her mouth to talk. Like, she doesn't, she's not interacting
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
a normal, whatever, seventh grader, let's just say. So people, when I say that in my current version of myself, they're like, there's no way. There's no way you're shy. There's no way you have anxiety. There's no way you're uncomfortable. But the thing is, I absolutely still am. It's way light years different than it was, let's say, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I'm perceived as not being in those buckets is that I've worked and I've done a lot of unearthing, and I've done things that scare me and make me feel a little uncomfortable, and did it over again and over again and over again. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's available for all of us, for whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to move and change the strength of your body, but you're thinking, oh, I'm too past that. I'm too, right. That's ancient history, right?
Never too late. Yeah.
Yeah, this better than anybody, right? But it's never too late. But it's the stories we tell inside of our heads. Well, I tried this thing this one time and I only went 2 times and I didn't really know. There's all these stories that
Yeah.
happen. But it's like, maybe it wasn't the right fit. Maybe you didn't give it long enough. Maybe, you needed, some sort of accountability. There's all these things, but we need to, at the end of the day, intrinsically say, like, it matters enough to me to feel healthy in my body. We're going to keep on that
Mm-hmm.
example. So I'm going to find a way to build the confidence muscle to go to that class that really kind of scares me or really kind of puts me out of my comfort zone. And I'm going to go to it for 3 months straight every week until I see kind of what I really feel about it. It's as
Right.
simple
You
as
can't
that.
just not, it's not like a one and done type of thing.
Right.
It's not with exercise or something, but no, it's not a one and done for
Yeah.
sure. There needs to be some type of, like you said, 3 months, or maybe they'll give it a month or whatever it is,
Right.
but you have to give it a little while to
Yeah.
assess.
And that's
Assess.
with
And it's,
really.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's truly
Um,
with anything, not just, not just health and fitness, but that's just anything in life. I'm scared to, work towards this new promotion in my job, but you kind of keep yourself back because everyday life is just, it's easier just to keep doing the status quo. But maybe if you did one small choice a day to get you to that next level or that next title or that next pivot in your business, that you would see that. But it's gaining that confidence to get, like, the steamroll moving, the tumbleweed
yeah.
needs the wind to kind of push it. But once it's going, it's got the force. And so to me, it comes down to how badly do you want this shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sick of your own self at this point? I just heard this the other day. Somebody said the biggest changes in their life happened when they were like literally sick of their own shit. Like, they were just like, I'm over this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to actually finally do something about it instead of just complaining about it like in another version 2 weeks from now, and then
Mm-hmm.
complaining about it another 6 months from now for another reason. And I thought that was
Right.
poignant, because I think that ties into confidence of just kind of finally just going, okay, I deserve to make this shift enough. So I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And it's going to look a little messy, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a little, like, feel a little foreign, but that's okay. And I'm okay with that. And I'm excited to see what is on the other side of this all.
Yeah, because when you step into what you're fearing, that others, I mean, you gain that confidence, like, oh, I did it once, it wasn't so bad. Oh, I can
Mhm.
do it again. You
It's
definitely do
just,
again, and you were talking about being shy. I'm shy too.
yeah, yeah.
And it probably doesn't come off, but I'm really shy. So it again, she had, Megan had mentioned, it's a muscle that you just, I want to be out there. I want to do these things, and the audience does too. They want to accomplish certain things, or they want to be maybe with certain people. So it's just taking that first step, and after that first step, taking another one. You know,
Yes. I
yeah.
mean, it
So
literally is like going back to like that. idea of that we all kind of start with the same level of confidence, right? Within us.
Mm-hmm.
When we first start walking, we fall a lot of times, but people keep
Mm-hmm.
cheering us on and they
Yeah,
keep
we
giving
keep
us
going.
tools. They give us a little pushy thingy that is in front of us. They let us, surf the couch. There's different ways of doing it. So it's no different in every other aspect of our life. It's just now we have to make the conscious choice about it versus
Mm-hmm.
it just being like an innate thing that somebody is just kind of helping you do. We have to now be the push cart
Yes.
ourselves, which makes it 3,000% harder because we have now collected way too many other evidence or stories or whatever's to help us not want to get that moving, but you can. It's just it just comes down to um being open enough, right, to allow yourself that chance to take the step wherever it may be and just go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% on board with you there. What are some things that we can do? So we talked about, like the confidence in regards to try just, taking the next step, but what do you think we can do visually
Yeah,
to
that's a
help
great
us?
question. Anybody that knows me knows it's not a surprise that I love the use of color and space and the things around us. But it's very simple in one way, but it's very complex. I have a one of my favorite classes I ever took in college was the psychology of color, right? So the things around us make a difference in how we feel and the way that we're seeing the world. So one thing for me that personally has helped me in my journey of kind of being my most confident self, making choices that I look back and go, oh yeah, that was exactly what I should have done. And now I'm so proud of myself for doing it. One very simple thing is surrounding yourself with things that feel good, right? For me, it's color. So, even just in this video, you can see that, right? For me, it's color. For me, it's taking some moments, right, before going to bed at night to make sure that my nightstand is cleared off so that when I wake up, the first thing I see is not an old water bottle and whatever, a this and a that and all the things. It's these little, and not only does it help your brain feel a little bit more like flowing and
Mm-hmm.
fluid because you're kind of helping your just everything around you feel better. It also is a small win if you think about it. It's a small win, so it's building your confidence. It's a small win that you finally put away that laundry that's been staring at you in the corner for a week or however long. I'm not judging if it's been there longer. It's a small win so that you continue finding your little steps to a better version. So I call them 1 minute miracles. So I used to be well known in my household growing up for being like Megan droppings. They would call them Megan droppings. And I would just kick my shoes off and they'd be like wherever, and they would just stuff would just drop everywhere. I didn't take the time or attention to just take 30 more seconds to walk to the closet to put the shoes away. But now I've seen that's changed. Like I used to be a very just kind of disorganized, like all over the place, messy person. And there's nothing wrong with, like everyday life's going to happen. I'm not saying that everything goes everywhere all the time. Believe me, does not. But making that conscious choice to think about the space around us, visually what things look like, do you love the color pink? Then paint an accent wall in one of your rooms. I don't know. Like, what is it that's going to kind of make you inspired, make you feel excited, and give you small wins across the board? So 1 minute miracles, if you take nothing else, those have shifted me because it's like the thing where I'm about to put something down in a place that just isn't going to serve me because I'm just going to be annoyed 2 hours later when I'm trying to cook and I put all this stuff on the counter and I'm now defeating my confidence level because I'm already telling myself you can't keep it together. Your house is a mess. Why would you be successful in your business if you can't even keep your kitchen clean? It's all part of it, right? So 1 minute
Mhm.
miracles can start to make small changes for that, right? But also giving yourself grace in real life that you're still going to have things and spaces and places that don't always look and feel exactly how you want. But the more conscious you are about it and intentional you are about it, the more you're just going to feel good in general. So from a visual standpoint, that's one big thing that I feel like is really important to remember and has literally
Mhm.
changed the game. It's been a huge healing portion of my journey in the last 5 or 6 years for sure.
I like that. And I also think that, just to add to that, surrounding yourself with things that you love or you enjoy, or putting reminders in certain places
Yeah.
that remind you of, like, oh yeah, I could do this. Like, it could be, and there's this quote, and I don't know, I can't, I'm saying it verbatim, but like, it's Maya Angelou, where she says, you don't remember what people say, but you remember how they make you feel.
Yes.
And I actually bought that for somebody. I bought it and she got it framed. I'm like, I want that for myself. So I'm going to get one eventually, and I'm going to get it framed. I'm going to put it up so I can see it every single day, because I really love that quote. But maybe for you, Megan, it's something different, but maybe for someone else in the audience, it'll be, completely different subject. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, but I mean, surround yourself to by stuff that you love and to be inspired by, too.
Absolutely. If you would walk around my office or even my house, even my car, to be honest, like everything, one of my friends one time was like, you just live on brand. And what she meant by that had nothing to do with my business brand. She meant just
Mhm.
like you live on brand, like what is true to you, right? I mean, there's things and tokens and things that feel good to me, right? I'm a big like thrifter, and I love finding unique gems and just things like, the little sign back here on my thing says, your magic, like your magic. It's something so simple. It's silly. It's nothing. I mean, I don't even know. I think I got like the Target, whatever you call it now, not the dollar spot, but whatever that spot. Like, you don't have to spend $1 million to make your space feel good either. Like, just as a little side note, because sometimes when, we get that thought of like, well, putting things that make me feel good in my space, I have to spend money. You don't really need
Mhm.
to, right? You could just, sometimes for me, rearranging my desk in a new, fresh way and taking things out that I'm like, why do I even have this up here? It's kind of just cluttered in this corner. I thought I would use it more often. I don't. I'm going to put it in a drawer because it's something I do need, just not right now. Even something as simple as that. And I probably 6 weeks or so, I get an itch to like reorganize. So I don't spend a stitch of money for it. I just reorganize it. Maybe I put a new plant in the corner that's in my house already, but just in a different spot, just to like, again, boost that confidence that moves through me. Cause I felt like I just did a little something. My space feels like exciting, but like, be okay with not having to have what everybody else has when it comes to making yourself and your space feel good. Not everybody wants a bright teal, cabinet, but maybe you want, I don't know, crazy loud voluminous curtains. I don't know. Maybe you just want to, have a very minimalist space, whatever it is, but make sure it feels good and inspiring to you, because every single day when you're in that space, walking through that space, it's going to change you. For me, my keychains on my car keys, like there's all like, I have like 3 or 4 things that are just meaningful to me. One of them is a color wheel. One of them is a butterfly that's just reminds me to stay open and free. And one of them is the number 3, which is my lucky abundant number. And it's like these little tokens of something just remind me. So if nothing else, start looking around and like, I guess, taking in your space around you. Like, oh, that
Mhm.
plant makes me feel a little more alive when I look at it. And side note, when we look at the color green, it helps boost our serotonin production, because nature, right, is green, all these things. So if you can put something green in your space, especially the space where you're creating and or relaxing, that's going to be super great. It's going to be a boost of confidence in itself, because you're having those good, happy hormones moving through your body. So
Green. Okay, I'm wearing
yep.
green.
There you go. Like, I mean, I've got plants like right next to me, because then if I need a brain break, and even if I know I can't get up out of my chair right now because I'm, on this deadline of getting this done, and if I get up, who knows what will happen, right? I can just look over and just like for a second, maybe I even touch the leaves or whatever, and just that second of like, calmness comes in. So for me, that's why it's so important. And I'm glad you started with asking about the visual side of things, because I think it's kind of like, people don't always tap into that side of it because it's not their thing. It's not like they don't
Mhm.
really care about their space around them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think deep down, everybody does still thrive within spaces that feel and look smell good. What's a smell that you really love? Do you love citrus? Can you put a diffuser with lemon or orange or whatever? For me, that's a huge thing too. It's like, it's more of a scent versus a visual thing, but it's still a part of my space. And I literally have my diffuser over here in this other corner. And it is one thing, it's an intentional moment of like, okay, I've got a long day in the office today. I'm going to put a couple drops in and it's going to invigorate me. It gives me that intention. It gives me a small win. Visually, I have this little moment that I had with my diffuser, and then this scent. Like, what do you want your space around you to feel, look, and sound, smell, all of the things like?
No, you're right about that. And you're talking about scent. I have a diffuser as well. And I was in Naperville yesterday. I was at a store and they had diffusers for the car. And so here I am smelling all the things. So, like walking, like getting into my car, that smell. This
Yep.
is like, oh, this is fantastic. I love this. This is so me. It's my space. It's my car. Right? So
Yes.
there's another idea, guys.
No,
Put
and
a
I love
nice
that because
essential oil in your car.
yes, and I absolutely love that because I too have a very distinct car scent, and again, it's intentional. It's a spray
Mhm.
that I got from a local person that makes these sprays, and it's got like lavender and peppermint, and I forget the other couple things, but people will get in and comment. For me, I'm kind of becoming a little bit nose blind to it, but that's okay.
Mhm.
That means I'm still surrounded with it. But people who aren't often in my car, or maybe never in my car, they get in, they're like, it smells so like light and fresh in here, and it's all
Mhm.
natural. There's nothing, there's none of those like, who knows what's in some of those
Yeah.
heavy ones, right? But yes, so especially if you're somebody who maybe drives a lot, but you disdain driving and it's always a bane of your existence, and you're always maybe complaining about it. Two things. One, what can you put a beautiful scent in there that feels good? Two, can you put something else in there, whatever? Maybe it's a little sticker that, goes on your dashboard that makes you just smile or take a deep breath when you're about to take an hour drive to a client or whatever. Maybe it's whatever, it could be anything. And then two, can we flip the script on, I'm so very blessed that I have a car that's working, that gets me to where I'm going, that I have the ability to drive myself where I'm going, like that mindset shift to build that confidence. Because I think the way we label ourselves, kind of moving in a slightly different direction, but the way we label ourselves, our life, what we do, all of those things also matter in our confidence as well, and one example of that is it's very common for people to say, I'm going to work today,
Mhm.
right? Like you're going to teach a class and you're like, oh, I'm going to work. I found not that like maybe about a year or so ago that I don't say the word work when it comes to my stuff, right? Does it feel like work sometimes? Absolutely. Do I
Mhm.
always want to be doing what I'm doing? Not always, but I feel like I can stay confident in what I'm doing and stay excited about what I'm doing because of the way I programmed my brain to think.
Mhm.
So you will almost never hear me say the word work in regard. I might say I might go work in the garden. I might say it in that
Mhm.
regard, but when it comes to like what I do as a career, I don't know the last time I've said
What
it.
do you say? What do you say then instead of
Um,
saying work?
yeah, I will say I'm going to a session. I will say I'm
Mhm.
going to edit today. I'm going to meet a client. I will say like literally what I'm actually doing versus just
Mhm.
encompassing it in the word work.
Mhm.
I'm going to meet a client for a branding session. I'm going on a
Mhm.
coaching call. Like I'll just say those things in particular, depending on what it is. And it's changed. Like
Mhm.
for you, it could be like, I'm going to teach a class later tonight,
Mhm.
of saying I'm going to work. And we all can, I mean, I don't care what industry you're in or what you do, there's
Mhm.
different ways to say what you're doing when you're leaving to go do
Oh,
what
I
you
do, and I do that.
okay.
I do say work, and I guess I shouldn't say it as much, and you pointed that out. But when people say, "Oh, what are you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm going to change lives today." That's
Yes.
what yeah, like because I'm changing lives,
Yeah.
and it's a purpose, and we all, everybody, we all have some type of purpose each day, overall, everything,
Yes.
and you're changing something. You're
Yep.
changing something. Doesn't I'm changing a life. You might be changing someone's. Maybe you are changing a life, and you're changing a life in a different way that I am.
Yes.
You're making somebody smile today.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I always think, especially for people who have like products or things like, or services that they don't view as life changing. Okay, but you
Mhm.
might be helping somebody like solve a problem.
Mhm.
let's even use, I don't know
Buying
why.
a house.
Right, yeah, buying a house. And maybe you're a bakery and you're like, whose life am I changing? But you could be creating something that's just so delicious and delightful that it makes them have the best day ever. Or it's a special part of something that is very life-changing to them, like a milestone birthday or a wedding or whatever. We literally all can just, I think that's part of the confidence. We kind of dumb it down. We're like, well, we don't do much. We're just kind of doing whatever. This is just like the industry I fell into, or I love it and I'm passionate about it, but it's not like anything like, groundbreaking. But what if it was? What if you just let it be? Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
rules. I think that's the biggest thing that I have been the biggest rule follower of my, or like that I know. And I still am a rule follower by like definition, but I also kind
Mm-hmm.
of push the boundaries a lot and going, there is no rule in this thing that we do. Life,
Mm-hmm.
business, none of it. There's like best practices, those should be followed, but there's no real rule. So
Mm-hmm.
say what you want about your work. I'm going to do da 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 da. I am blessed to do da 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 da. Whatever words can help you start to feel better in your everyday interactions in life, can really help you feel just
Mm-hmm.
point blank, feel better in your own skin, and probably just kind of keep that little like confidence booster kind of ticking up in the right
Mm-hmm.
direction.
Right. It's just like the words that we choose to
Yeah.
light us up a little bit more,
Yes.
and then just, yeah, and then build. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I knew
So
you
you
would.
guys, she, if you haven't seen the pictures, she's my profile. Like, well, actually, no, hold on. Megan is a photographer and she did my branding photography. And if you have not seen my profile pic, click on there. She does fabulous, fabulous work. And I'm so happy with how all the photos have turned out. But I mean, she did branding photography for me. But she does other photography as well. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, Megan?
Yeah. At this point in my career, a majority is a lot of the branding and like headshot, lifestyle, all that good stuff. But I do still hold space for my portrait work as well. It's kind of what got me into this industry more full force. So I still do like families and kiddos and the quintessential fall photos and things like that. So I hold space throughout the year to be able to have dates and availability to be able to do that for people. But like for me, it all comes back to this whole entire conversation that we were having.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do in that regard, because whether it is in business and branding or it is in portrait work and celebrating life, let's just say, right? It is, how can we do that in a more beautiful way? And so to
Mm-hmm.
me, imagery and visuals and things like that can really change that, and seeing this beautiful photo of your family after not having updated photos for 10 years or something like that could really make you just feel like you stopped in time for a second and just cherished that moment, or saw yourself in this new version of yourself. Maybe you haven't really looked in the mirror for the last 5 or 6 years and you're going, who is that? And you see a photo of yourself and you go, oh, there she is. Like, I don't totally recognize her, but I want to celebrate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think, that kind of like the work that I do gets to go beyond, right, kind of the obviousness of what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's these others like psychological, beautiful moments that can come into it as well. And like in my world, it's always, we create magic together, because that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I believe that life is magical. And I believe that, it doesn't mean it's not hard and doesn't suck
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, but it's really magical at the end of the day. And we get to choose where and how we put these parts of our lives into play with that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think you do a really great job with regards to bringing the personality out in the photo.
Yeah.
And I think that's magic, Megan.
Well, I think there's just something to be said. I always say, when I get to talking, the real magic is letting people be who they are. And people get nervous a lot. People get so nervous. I've had clients tell me they didn't sleep for 2 nights or whatever before sessions, and I'm heartbroken when people say that to me, because at the end of the day, it's just me. It's goofy, silly dance party in my kitchen me that has not a judgmental bone in her body. I don't care what your background is, where you come from, you know, what you're good at, what you're bad at, all the things. You get to be a human walking this earth, and you get to be celebrated. And so it makes me sad to know. And if it's one thing I could do, if like somebody was like, a genie came out of a bottle and was like, what is one thing you would love to do to just, you know, help the world? It would be to like turn off, right? It's not this simple, obviously, but turn off the ongoing things that happen in our brains that just tell us that we're not worthy, that we shouldn't show up, that we should shove our kid in front of us so we can hide part of our bodies because we're ashamed of. And I can cry thinking about this stuff because I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I've seen the mom, you know, and I can tell what they're doing. Sometimes they say it out loud, which irks me even more because then we're passing that down to the next generation because the kid hears the mom saying that about their body, and then they think, well, maybe I should think, you know, like there's so many other things we could get into on that. But I see that and I feel that, and I all the things. And so a lot, like I think the magic that you're saying is it's people can sense when you're just letting them be themselves, right? And yourself might feel one way during one session and then like a totally different way in another session because you get more comfortable. That confidence grows a little bit, the muscle grows a little bit. You start to see yourself like, oh, I can look back and not feel so like rigid about what I view myself as. And so it's literally meeting people where they are, no matter what it is, and then like gently guiding them to where they can go if they allow themselves. But I think that's one other little message for anybody watching who is consciously shoving themselves in the background, right? I'm not just talking about in a picture anymore, but don't do that either, right? Be in the photo, be there, right? Be front and center, you know, who cares, right? But also in life, don't put yourself on the back burner. Yes, kids are important. Yes, your career is important. All these things, there's lots of things that we will 100% put above us, right? Time and time again. But what if you just gave yourself the 10 minutes before bed to clear up, you know, your dresser and your nightstand? What if you gave yourself the 30 minutes, 20 minutes to go take a walk or move your body without guilt, without saying, oh, I have to do this because for whatever reason, you know, to stay healthy, I got to do this, you know? What if we stopped doing those things in a disdained way, like where we're like upset about it and just said, you know what, this is a good thing. And then putting yourself a little bit more front and center. And if you don't want to be the star of the show with the spotlight on you, that's okay. But at least let yourself be in the ensemble, right? Sorry for anybody who's like in theater, dance world, that's my background as well. So, but at least be in the ensemble, right? Don't be totally in the background, like being the person that's like making the background and the props go up and down. Nothing's wrong with those people, but I'm talking about in your life, you get to be whatever you want to be, you know? So don't put yourself totally in the attic, please.
I love the message, Megan, because you know, maybe you need, maybe this is one of the recordings that you'd like to review and review and review, because there's so many tips and nuggets in this one to help with your confidence in not going all at it, balls to the wall all at once. More of just like, hey, let's just take it one step at a time.
Yes.
And that is, I feel like overall, I know we all have goals or things that we want to achieve. Maybe we want to travel or whatever it is. If we take it one step at a time, I think we're more comfortable in regards to what's happening instead of just doing it all at once. Yeah. And if we do it and we make it a practice, it becomes a part of our lifestyle, and you'll be better for it. So Megan, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can find me in a few different places. I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm always hanging out in my stories, although I say that and I've been a little bit absent from there, just taking a little bit of me time, but you can find me there. Megan Holly Creates is my branding pages. So if you are a business owner, that you'll find more information and inspiration guided towards that population. And if you're just somebody who loves color and being, inspired and ignited, Megan Holly Artist is my page where you'll see all that type of information and content and all that good stuff. So Megan Holly Creates and Megan Holly Artist on both Facebook and Instagram for both of those. I am always just, here to just chat or be a cheerleader or be a hype girl or whatever. So never feel like you can't reach out in any way, shape, or form. And then my website is meganhollyartist.com. So you can see all my different work. You can see my blog, you can see my podcast, all the things that are there, or anything upcoming, which I've got some new things in the works. So once that's there, you would find all of it on that spot too. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on today. And yeah, if you guys need, if you want to talk to her, reach out to her. She'll we'll put all the information in the comments as well. All right. Bye everybody.
Thanks, Arlene.
Yeah.